President Trump continues to say the U.S. economy is, quote, doing tremendously. But in private, his economic advisors are reportedly preparing options to help prevent the economy from falling into recession. Possible options include a cut to the payroll tax and rolling back some tariffs. Yahoo Finance's senior columnist Rick Newman joining us this morning. And Rick, just days ago, we were talking about a Washington Post story that said his administration wasn't preparing for a downturn, sort of a mixed message.
Oh, they're certainly paying attention to what financial markets seem to be saying, what the yield curve inversion seems to be saying, and what the fake news, actually real news, seems to be saying, which is recession risks seem to be increasing. Look, we are not in a recession right now. I think that's important for everybody to realize. But President Trump clearly realizes his re-election odds depend on a strong economy, not just an economy limping along. And he's thinking about ways to juice the economy going into 2020. So I think that's what this is all about.
What's the probability of a payroll tax cut? That usually happens when this is dire straits. We're in a recession. The stock market's getting blown up.
Well, we've done it before. I mean, President Obama did this in 2011 and 2012. That was a bipartisan legislation. He managed to get through Congress. There were other tax measures in that, and it was a 2-year tax reprieve. So it lowered the payroll tax from 6.2% taken out of your paycheck to 4.2%. So it came down by 2 percentage points, and that put around $1,000 on average in people's pockets. So it's happened before. I think the problem here is that Democrats, led by Nancy Pelosi in the House of Representatives, are going to be very clever about denying Trump something that might help him get reelected. So I can see Democrats saying, hey, payroll tax cut, that would help middle-class Americans. Sounds good to us. What we would also like, in order to agree to that, is we would like to rescind some of the tax cuts for the wealthy or for businesses, or we would like to push the...
Well, one of the things is cutting capital gains tax is one of the things.
Well, that's another idea the Trump administration has had. That seems like a political loser to me, because that does not help the middle class very much. Right. That helps wealthier taxpayers. That's apparently a Larry Kudlow idea. He favors that. But look, if Democrats will say, we're fine, we're fine with this. We love this idea, except we want these things as our part of the deal. And that could be rescind the tax cuts, some of the tax cuts for the wealthy, or do something to raise that cap on state and local tax deductions, that so-called SALT deduction, or something else. So I think Nancy Pelosi is very adept. She has rolled Trump before on the government shutdown, for example. And I think she's going to be very shrewd if this even gets to the point of a proposal that goes to Congress.
Rick, if we get this fiscal policy, say goodbye to those rate cuts.
Well, it certainly complicates things for the Federal Reserve, but I'm not so sure. The Fed is going to base its decisions on rate cuts on what it sees in the present. They're not going to say, oh, we might have a tax cut next year, therefore we don't have to cut rates this year. I think the Fed, I don't think this will actually change the calculus for the Fed in the short term, but if it actually happens, then it could.
Trump tweeted yesterday, the Fed should cut interest rates by at least 1 percentage point, with perhaps some quantitative easing as well.
Emergency measures, even though the economy is doing tremendously. Makes no sense. It's incoherent.